You're listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
Hey, what's going on? Hope you're well, and thanks for checking in and listening to my show Straight to Video. It's always great to have you on board. So today we're talking all about your favorite 80s movie, Megaforce. What do you mean you've not heard of Megaforce? You know, the one with the guy from the Rocky Horror Picture Show in it, on the flying motorcycle? It's got the guy from the Warriors in it too. No? Never seen it? Well, today's guest, Bob Lindenmayer, loves Megaforce so much that he only went and made a documentary all about it called Making Megaforce. And when I say it's one of the most heartwarming, funny, and just genuinely great movie documentaries you'll ever see, you better believe me. We got the chance to screen it at the end of last year at our 80s video shop, and Megaforce was a film that had passed us all by, so everyone in the screening went in cold. We all have those films which you think everyone rented from the video shop and they know all about because you loved it so much. For me, it's films like North Shore or Explorers, and for Bob Lindenmayer, his was Megaforce. Well, none of us watching the doc had actually seen it, but it did not matter. This documentary just brought us all on board right from the beginning, and we were along for the ride. I just knew I had to chat with Bob all about it and why he just had to make this film, so I hope you enjoy our talk. Making Megaforce is currently doing the film festival circuit, but you can keep up to date on the documentaries page on Facebook and Instagram or at makingmegaforce.com. There might be a chance we can hopefully screen it again at the shop too, but right now, please enjoy my straight to video chat and all things Megaforce with Bob Lindenmayer.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
Good. Thanks for fucking reaching out.
Oh, mate, no. Well, you reached out in the very first place last year, so very cool of you, and it's great to connect. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you about all things Megaforce and 80s and the sweet. How's things over there? Is it just your day kind of starting, or are you an early riser? You've been up a while.
I'm an early riser. I had many things to do today. You know, it's never ending with film fests and movie marketing and desperately trying to get somebody to watch the movie.
So whereabouts are you based then? Are you still out in Seattle?
Yeah. I'm in Seattle, Washington. I'm a native, so I've always been here.
You was prime time grunge music then. What was you like, late teens when grunge music hit?
Oh, yeah. No, that was a big deal. Big deal for sure. Actually, one of my best friends back in the day, his cousin was Kurt Cobain.
Wow.
So yeah, like I was on stage at the Tacoma Dome for their last concert, got to hang with the boys. And yeah, it was a big deal. Like that was like at their peak.
Was you well into it? Was that your thing or was you into other stuff?
Yeah, I totally was, right? Like I'm actually more of an 80s pop nerd, but you just couldn't escape the grunge here at all. So I was never a big Pearl Jam fan, but yeah, Nirvana was just so brassy and angry and amazing. Yeah, you just couldn't help it. And of course, we had Nevermind, their big album, months before that because my buddy was his cousin. So
wow, very cool.
Yeah, no, so yeah, I was into it, driving around my little Volkswagen Scirocco, blasting Nirvana.
Excellent stuff. Congratulations on such a wonderful documentary. I mean, we got the chance to show it at our 80s video shop. I mean, it's only a small, like 12-seater screening room, which we do, but that was the end of last year. And literally everyone in there was blown away. And full disclosure, none of us had seen Megaforce at that point.
Oh, amazing.
It's one of those 80s movies that kind of got away. And from what I recall, never really got any real push here in the UK.
No, it died on the vine pretty quickly.
That's testament to your film, though, is it's not just a making of, it's all about your relationship with the movie and the friendship you made with Barry Bostwick, who played Ace Hunter in the original film. But seeing as Megaforce is perhaps such an underground cult movie, has that been one of the hardest things you faced when getting the word out there? As even by the film's own admission, it's the documentary nobody asked for. So, hey, come watch this documentary about this film you've never heard of. Has that been almost like a hurdle for you?
Yeah, it's it's definitely been a challenge, right? Because nobody remembers Megaforce, or they have kind of a foggy memory of it. Every time I say, well, it was the one with the flying motorcycle, and they go, oh, yeah, yeah.
What, Street Hawk?
Or Street Hawk, yeah, yeah. But obviously Megaforce is really important to me. And the challenge with making the movie is, obviously I wanted to celebrate the original film, but like what it is for me, and I know you're built the same way, right? It's just kind of anything from your childhood that you desperately love that maybe somebody else didn't love needs to be celebrated. It shouldn't be like a shame thing, right? If you like something like Street Hawk or something like that, right? There's other people out there. And so Megaforce was kind of my metaphor for anything that you love, whether it's old music or an old toy or whatever, and really give people permission, hopefully through watching my film, to just be like, yeah, man, I like that. And I'm going to be proud of it. Even if nobody else cares, I don't need to be embarrassed. And it really forges connections with people, even if they don't get it. If they get why you love it, then, it kind of rises all boats. And that was definitely, the experiment with trying to make this movie. And then, of course, Megaforce itself is just really fun. And the stories around it are amazing. And, so my conceit was, the first act of the movie, we try to like pump up Megaforce. The audience is just like, why haven't I never seen this? It sounds like the most amazing movie ever, right? And then, and then Barry Bostwick comes in and delivers the bet that it actually wasn't that great of a movie and nobody cared and nobody watched it. And that's been resonating really well. Like, I don't know with the folks who watched it there, but I'm assuming some of them have gone out and seen Megaforce now and probably appreciate it in a way that they wouldn't have without kind of the primer of my movie, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it must be a thrill, though, to see people's reactions when they do sit down and watch it and become engrossed in the story. It's like, yes.
Yeah. It's been really amazing. This is the first film I've ever directed. So like it was all stuff I really wanted to do and was really scared if anybody was going to get it or not get it and all that thing. And I mean, my approach was obviously, and it kind of shows through in the film, just be super honest and passionate and not try to put my thumb on the scale of anything. And by the time you get to the third act, right, everybody's on board and cheering me on at the end because everybody wants to meet some sort of hero from their past. And the fantasy is that they're going to be an amazing human being that you're going to have a lifelong friendship with. And yeah, I'm still shocked at the relationship I have with Barry Bostwick, Ace Hunter. To this day, I just spent an hour on the phone with him yesterday and he was just like checking in with me, right? Like he's my mate now, right?
His sense of humor comes across so well in the film, but is it a sense of humor where, did it take you a while to realize, is he joking on things he says or?
No, he was a ball buster. Like, we got on really well as far as our sense of humors went. And yeah, and there was definitely some times in that first year where I was like, is he just tolerating me or is he in on it? And obviously, by the end of the movie, you realize he's kind of in on the joke. And because he's so talented, just puppet mastering, right? Like he had a really clear vision of what his role was in my movie, which was kind of Bob's foil in some ways, right? And it just played really well. There were so many times where we were hanging out, just having a chat like buddies and stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I really want to be filming this right now because it'd be so great for the film. But we were having a real relationship and a real moment. And I was just like, I just need to enjoy, this friendship. Right. Because I was hauling my camera out all the time anyways. Right. So it's just like, the friendship in some ways became more of a priority than getting another funny bit from Bob and Barry screwing off.
There's enough in the film to keep that going. So if you can you take us back to 1982 and that first time seeing the film? You speak about it at the beginning of the movie, but I think it's amazing how this is the film that caught your imagination back then in a year when we had such films as E.T., Wrath of Khan, The Thing, Poltergeist, Blade Runner, the list goes on, but it was Megaforce for you.
Yeah, Road Warrior, all of them that summer. It was an amazing summer. For me, like I've always been an artist since I was a little kid. I'm a graphic designer by trade and, building models and all that stuff. And at that age, like I really remember specifically with Road Warrior, because I actually wasn't allowed to watch Blade Runner until it came out on video because it was rated R.
Full disclosure, I've never seen Blade Runner.
Oh, wow.
People like, you've never seen Blade Runner. You love your 80s films. And I always justify it by saying I was such a big fan of Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's all Harrison Ford was. Blade Runner looked too serious.
No. And I remember struggling with that too during, Blade Runner, because the role was such a departure from who I thought Harrison Ford
Yeah.
was, right? Like, I didn't think he was an actor. I just thought he was Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I totally get that. But the movies of 82, right? Like, it wasn't the 1977 Star Wars era of hopeful, naive stuff. By 82, it was all kind of dark anti-hero stuff, right? Which made for some really cool movies. But I was at the age where I was still living in that kind of 1977 Star Wars, where I was kind of confused and I felt bad if my hero was like, a dark, brooding so-and-so and all that. So within that summer when Megaforce came up, it was really like, I think I say it in the film, but it just kind of met me where I was at. Maturity-wise, like I wasn't ready to have my heroes be complicated, right? I still wanted them kind of up on a pedestal and really aspire to be like them. And obviously, Megaforce is such kind of a throwback to those, I guess more kids' movies. And I was a kid then. So yeah, to see Ace Hunter and all his buddies, it's so great. Like he's even buddies with the villain in the movie, right? Like that's how kind of aspirational and lovely it is. And then of course, all the vehicles and stuff like that. I've always said, the guys making this movie must emotionally be 10 to 12-year-old boys, because it's literally the most expensive play date ever, right? Like me and my buddies were doing that with bikes. We were crashing into each other and shooting bottle rockets at each other and stuff like that. And this was just kind of the hyper realistic version of, we all pretended that our bikes could fly when we were going off curbs and stuff like that.
I would imagine you was figuring that out in your head while you were still watching Megaforce for the first time. It's like, I can't wait for this film to end so I can make my bike like that.
100%. Yeah. It was just that. And obviously the kind of the audacity of the vehicles and the graphic design, even back then, resonated with me. I was also a really huge Flash Gordon fan because again, it was just so comic book cartoon come to life, right? Like the colors, and both films had a real strong music soundtrack too that was like rock and roll, right? And it's like, what? Like you can mesh rock and roll with a movie, right? Like back then it was kind of a surprise, especially when Queen did the soundtrack for Flash Gordon. Like you were expecting a John Williams score, and then all of a sudden there's like rock and roll, and it's like, holy cow, just all the cool things all at once.
Both films get a rap for being like over the top and a little bit campy.
Yeah.
Flash Gordon, I think it did okay in the US, but it was a pretty big deal over here in the UK.
It was a big deal in the UK, for sure, yeah.
Maybe with the Queen connection as well, because that kind of got like a big push as well. But yeah, I love the Flash Gordon film, and I rewatched it a couple of years ago, and it's like, I'm enjoying this a heck of a lot more than I was expecting to. I mean, I knew every line to it, but everything about that film, like the setup with the characters and everything, it brings all the different characters together in Ming's throne room at the same time, so you get to learn about everybody straight away.
Yeah.
Such an amazing film. So was it a big one for you? Was like Star Wars a big fan thing, Flash Gordon, all those kind of films?
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely a Star Wars kid. I was in the sweet spot there for sure. So yeah, I just loved all those movies. I was also like a big Godzilla fan at the time, right? And I still am, right? You can see behind me, that's Godzilla's tail.
Oh, yeah, right. I did not notice that. I saw the Wrath of Khan poster straight away. So what is that? Is that just some kind of big prop?
No, that's a real movie prop. Yeah, as I got older and the internet came online and stuff, right? Like I was always an action figure nerd, right? Like I still have all my Star Wars guys from back in the day. And yeah, when I realized you could actually own a piece from the actual movie, right? And back in those days, it wasn't a rich man's sport. Like anybody could grab a granule of something from their favorite films, right? So yeah, I ended up getting like a bunch of Flash Gordon original movie props, and then Godzilla and just anything. Like the other side of my wall here, right? Like I've got a Cylon helmet from the original Battlestar Galactica. I've got a Ernest Borgnine's helmet from Airwolf.
What?
Yeah, like stuff like that, right? So it's just like, obviously it maps directly to the movie as far as all these memories, collecting talismans from these, really important moments in your childhood. Yeah, so I'm just a collector of all those things. I love it. I used to be buried in that stuff, right? Because again, it's that kid mentality, right? It's like, I got to collect them all. So I just had this massive wall of Flash Gordon props, which was really neat. Some of them are in Lisa Downs' film Life After Flash, because I'm in there. And yeah, and finally it was just like, okay, like, I mean, it's weird to say, but like I had too much. You know, it's like, okay, I've got a Hawkman drum, right? And that kind of dilutes the importance of Flash Gordon's actual sword, right? All of a sudden it just becomes a bunch of gack.
It's overload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been paring down and curating. And of course, the prices that I paid for these props 20 years ago, I don't know if you follow any of that, but the prices are insane these days, right? And of course, I had a film to finance. So
you originally saw Megaforce at the cinema. Did you just see it the one time before it was pulled from screens, or did you get a chance to go back?
Yeah, just the one time, right? And then I don't even know if it officially got a cult status ever back then, but obviously when it came out on HBO or Showtime, it was one of those movies that I know now licensing was really cheap for it because nobody cared about it. So Showtime would just play it 5 times a day for that summer. So I got to watch it a lot then. Yeah. And then, of course, when VHS came out, it was actually really hard to find. Like in Seattle, there was only one copy because there was probably only 30 copies of Megaforce ever made because it wasn't a profitable movie.
Do you remember the name of the video store you used to go to?
Yeah, oh yeah, Scarecrow Video.
Oh, right. The Scarecrow Video. That's the famous one.
The Scarecrow Video. They're still around. They actually just bought their building this year, so they're going to hopefully be here forever.
Wow, so you've been going there since you was like tiny.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
That's great. Are they familiar that that store held that copy which you used to rent and now it made the documentary?
No, not yet. I'm actually getting DVDs printed for all the crowdfunding guys right now, and you guys will get a copy too. But yeah, I'm going to march one down there to Scarecrow and to say, hey, you want to put this on my shelf? You're actually mentioned in the movie.
That's fantastic. I love that. We mentioned it earlier. We have a mutual friend in Lisa Downs who did the Life After Flash documentary, which you were involved in along with, I think, did you do some artwork on Life After Navigator and The Neverending Story?
Yeah, I did. I horned my way into her world. And again, since I do graphic design and animatics and stuff like that, I got to do all her title sequences for the movies, which turned out cool. And then I did the posters and a lot of the DVD design and stuff like that. Again, just helping her out. And thankfully, she liked, my designs and stuff. So yeah, I did their Life After logo and all that stuff too. So yeah, we're really good partners as far as that goes. And interestingly enough, my film was originally called Life After Megaforce. I was going to write on her coattails. And then my film became such a kind of departure from how she's making these films that I didn't want it to be like this weird thing. And of course, I directed it, and she should definitely have ownership over her whole IP and stuff like that. So Lisa and her partner, Ash, I just talked to him yesterday about distribution woes and stuff like that. So yeah, like we see each other every time and try to help each other out. One of the big interviews, it's probably the interview in the movie where I actually make the most sense, is because Lisa and Ash were actually filming that. So she was asking me questions as opposed to me trying to make stuff up. Because the thing, right, like it was a one-man show making the movie. So let's say I'm putting missiles on one of the cars, right? So say, oh my God, I better set up the camera and set up a microphone so I can talk, right? And anytime I did anything Megaforce, I would just set up the camera and it would watch me work and I would talk. Then my brilliant editor, Felix Chamberlain, had to wade through all that stuff to try to make sense out of it.
How far into doing the Megaforce documentary was it when you and Lisa kind of got to know each other? What I'm saying is, did she have a hand in making you pull the trigger to really push forward with it?
100%. So it was in between Life After Flash and Navigator, I believe. And we were just chatting, and I'd met Barry Bostwick, and he'd shared with me that he has his photo album from Megaforce where his girlfriend just took a bunch of pictures of the entire thing, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to, again, because I'm a graphics guy, I was like, oh, I'm going to make a Megaforce coffee table book. And I think that'll be really cool because I want to share Megaforce. And it was really her idea. She's like, Bob, do you have all these things? And I know you want to make a film. Like, you should just make a Megaforce documentary. It really was her, I don't know, kind of giving me permission to try that really started. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I will try that. And literally it was just like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. This is my midlife crisis. I'm going to do it.
What were the first steps to making the documentary? Was it to reach out to people, or was it into looking into getting some kind of funding? Because you ran a very successful Indiegogo campaign.
Yeah. It was all self-funded, kind of run and gun. And it really escalated. Like, obviously, like I knew Barry, and I wasn't quite sure what his role was going to be, because initially it was going to be kind of a straight up making of, because I was like, oh, well, I've got the star, and that's half the battle when you're trying to make a documentary about an old film, because people want to see the guy. And then, I just went on IMDb and just emailed everybody I could from the end credits. And the first guy that got back to me is Andre Morgan, and he was one of the two producers on Megaforce. Like, his career is as impressive as Al Reddy, but Al Reddy's kind of the front guy and Andre Morgan's kind of the back guy, right? But I couldn't believe Andre said, just come on down and we'll talk about Megaforce. So he was my first interview.
They both come across so great straight away, because they're two of the early interviews in the documentary. And it totally sets the tone with both of them, I think.
Right. Yeah. And through those guys, Andre's like, oh, well, I know so-and-so. And they knew people. And then the other thing I did initially was I reached out to Stunts Unlimited, which is a stunt union over here that Hal Needham, the director of the film, actually started, right? There's a huge historical legacy there. And Stunts Unlimited takes very seriously their legacy and history. So I was like, hey, I'm making a Megaforce documentary, Hal Needham's film and stuff like that. And the people there were like, we will email every stunt guy in our roster who was in that movie and give them the option to reach out to you. So then all of a sudden, guys started reaching out to me, and I strung together. So, for 3 years, it was like every other month I had to go to California and hang out with these guys.
Such a chore.
Yeah, such a chore. Yeah, I went to Disneyland a lot those 2 years. Right. And anytime I was in California, I would hang out with Barry Bostwick and we would screw off and stuff like that. And then as I started seeing the relationship on screen, just be like, oh my gosh, this is way better than just me talking. I asked Barry if he would come with me on these interviews and actually conduct the interviews, because he's just so great to have on camera. And again, like, he was totally game, right? We would just go on these crazy adventures together.
Was he on board straight away? Did he realize it'd be such an ongoing project?
He did not realize it was going to be such an ongoing project. He's just great as far as a mentor figure goes. He is so present in the moment everywhere he goes. And so initially he was just curious, like, what I was doing. And he's such a curious guy. He's like, I'm just going to roll with this guy for a while, because this is very strange. And like, what makes this guy tick? And of course, he was no real fan of the original film until he realized how much it meant to me. And then all the other people, whether it was old crew or other fans, he realized like how important it was. And he finally kind of got it. And then he was full on the bus for everything. And of course, the sheer miracle of the ending of my film, it's just a testament to how awesome he is, right? Like, who goes out to the desert when they're 79 years old, and gets back on a Megaforce motorcycle, right? It was, right? Like, it could have gone the other way, and where, it was a complete disaster, or we had a fight or whatever, which still would have meant a great film. But the spirit of the original Megaforce and just kind of how I roll, which I say, like, the good guys always win, right? Like, I really wanted the tale that I was telling in my film to have the same naive, uplifting qualities of the original, right?
Of a Hal Needham movie.
Yeah. I was always going back to check to see if I had the tone right.
Yeah.
And obviously with tongue in cheek, right? Because Megaforce isn't Lawrence of Arabia, but at the same time, it's special and unique as far as a piece of cinema goes.
Which of Hal Needham's other films are you a big fan of?
My favorite Hal Needham film is probably Hooper, because it's the most honest and it's the less, it has lots of screwing off in it, but like, as far as like a personal story, and it was kind of like his biopic in a way. So I think it has the most kind of honesty as far as a film versus a movie. I classify movies as popcorn fun, and a film is not that they're mutually exclusive, but, a film you're trying to really say something and maybe do something, and I love, Smokey and the Bandit is still a really great, funny movie. All his movies, including Megaforce, they're of the time. So some things don't resonate super great these days. As far as some of the choices that they made, the one that was, and again, I don't want to throw it under the bus too bad, but I was like, oh, I'll watch Cannonball Run. Like, I love cars and everything. And that movie is kind of problematic and not a super good movie.
Oh, I adore it. I adore it
too, but as far as how much of it makes sense and
oh yeah.
right, in some ways, I think that's why all these guys loved working with Hal Needham. Like, you could see the fun. The fun is infectious on screen.
I think particularly in that one, it's like everyone's off the faces, but they had such a good time making that film.
Yeah, for sure. I love all those films. I actually got to meet, through Barry, Adrienne Barbeau at a Comic-Con. Nice. She's a classic like Barry. She's just such a genuine person.
I've seen you mention in other chats, and we spoke about it a little earlier, the film took a different turn partway through as your relationship and friendship with Barry developed. And I think it was your editor who persuaded you that you should really shift the focus onto that. Was there much back and forth to make that decision, going from shining a light on this long lost film to, hey, this is going to be about me as well too? How was that for you?
Yeah, that was a big deal. So like Felix and I are best friends, and definitely through cutting and working on it, hours of conversations like daily. And like I would go to California, spend 2 weeks with him in the editing room, and he would come up here and do the same. So it really was a collaborative thing. And initially, before I decided that I actually needed an editor, right? Like I was really struggling personally with just being sick of myself on screen, right? Like I was kind of shy. Like I'd prefer to be behind the camera. So I kept kind of cutting around myself and trying to make it work without that. And obviously that wasn't possible. And so Felix and I did a lot of chats about, well, this isn't the Megaforce story. This is Bob's story, right? And we started referring to Bob, the character in the film, as not me. It's like, well, what does Bob need in this scene, right? Like it was really strange to have that duality there. And this one day he's like, we were just chatting and I was like, yeah, that was the same summer my dad left. And that was one of the real big reasons that the movie was important. And he just lit up and I was just like, oh, hell.
You knew what he was thinking. You saw the cogs working in his brain.
Yeah. And the great thing about our relationship, like he was right. And I had to do my part with being authentic and honest and kind of not shy away from that, because it is personal. And it was really hard for me to, as much as I did, articulate how hard it was for me as a kid during that time and how meaningful those movies were as a way to like make it through.
Was it very therapeutic for you?
Yeah, very. It was really cathartic for sure. And so once that decision was made, it was right for the stories, right for the film. And then it was like, well, the juxtaposition of how I grew up with an absent father versus me being such a present father with my kids, right? Because they were in some scenes screwing off and helping me because we'll do that together. And I was like, there's another point to kind of get these three generations together. And so, yeah, that part is super meaningful to me because no matter what the film does, the legacy of me during this time, even just for my kids to have that, right? Like there's just a gift after gift after gift I'm getting and giving to people through, just kind of being honest in my filmmaking, right? I'm as shocked as anybody that like it's kind of working out. Right? It's resonating with other people who don't care about Megaforce.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing.
Have your two kids, Calvin and Eleanor, are they genuine Megaforce fans or do they have a similar love for 80s films like yourself?
Yeah, I definitely gave them an 80s upbringing.
Right.
We only have a movie room. We don't have TVs on. So their entire childhood was curated by me as far as like only 80s DVDs, right? Like they grew up on Speed Buggy to She-Ra to the old Godzilla animated show, Super Friends. Yeah, so they're well versed in that. I would give them a smorgasbord of opportunities. And if something resonated with them, like Transformers or something, then we'd like go down that rabbit hole. It wasn't draconian. Like you can only watch these things. But yeah. And through it, like they enjoy Megaforce. I don't necessarily know if they would have loved it if they weren't part of this adventure. But they have their films like we all do. so they get it.
What does this year hold for Making Megaforce? Is it more film festivals, or you mentioned a physical release as well? What's in the pipeline?
Yeah, so the film festival thing has been really great. Again, since I've never done anything like this before, I was basically picking film festivals from places that I wanted to visit. Right? Because I had no idea. So yeah, I entered lots and lots of film festivals, and this year has been amazing. I think we've won 24 awards now, which is crazy. And we've got 40 more film festivals throughout this summer and fall. And obviously each one of these is exhausting, and they all have special requirements and everything like that. And of course you have to pay. And so, yeah, we're going to do all those film festivals. If it's a really amazing fest and they reach out to me personally, I'll sign up for it. But I'm trying to slow down on film fest because it's just so much work. And the awards are great for sure and super validating, but as far as kind of the business of movies, I don't want to become a millionaire around this movie at all, but I haven't been paid anything for it yet, and you want your movie out there and you want to make, I just want to make enough money where I can try to do another film. So this last month, Film Threat magazine, which is, a pretty big deal, they just awarded me Best Pop Culture Documentary of 2025, which is kind of the biggest deal that my film has received as far as, an accolade. And we're trying to leverage that into some magic. This summer, if all goes well, we're working with a film distributor, and we're going to try for a small theatrical release where 7 to 12 art house theaters around the United States, and see if we can kind of get some traction there, because it really is an audience film, and it's one of those fun things to see with your friends, just like those classic Hal Needham movies, right? So yeah, I'm kind of going old school as far as, it's like I'm a punk band. I'm just going town to town, selling my t-shirts, playing my shows. It just feels right for me and the temperament of the film, and then obviously the massive streaming empire is always going to be there. But if you make a movie, you want to show it in a real theater, right? So again, since this is my only movie, hopefully not my only, I kind of want to do it right. I want to have it in theaters for a while, see how that goes, and then go to streaming. And yeah, I am producing a limited set of DVDs currently. Oh, because we didn't talk about the Indiegogo thing. So the Indiegogo thing, the film was done and mostly edited when I realized I needed to go and do some crowdfunding, because I did all my own audio, which I will never do again because it was a real bad idea. And I was like, I can just buy this cheap thing on Amazon and it'll record my audio. And that was not the case. So all audio restoration, and obviously the amazing score by my composer, James Sale, and then having a proper colorist, right? All the grown-up things that have to go into a real movie, I had to pay for it, right? Those were really expensive.
But worth it in the end for the final product.
Worth it in the end, yeah. Yeah, so the crowdfunding campaign went really well, shockingly well. Again, Megaforce is rarely in the winners category of anything. So to see the outpour of people who wanted to, support the film. So that paid for it to get done. So it would be film festival ready. So yeah, doing DVDs for the crowdfunding folks, because I promised them that as their perks thing. And then we're talking with Arrow Video, those guys, and they're curious about maybe putting a DVD together through them, which would be amazing.
Well, actually releasing Megaforce with the documentary.
Yeah. Which would be, it'd be great to be paired with the original as far as a historical document.
So good.
And then hopefully by next, the end of this summer, I'll kind of know if my film's kind of run its course or it gets to level up to, a boss level where I get to do some more things, because, there's hours of Megaforce nerd footage and interviews, and you can only imagine the stuff that was cut, right? So to do a proper, fully special featured with all the making of the making.
You could probably do little segments on just the stunts, on the vehicles, on the toys. I know you're touching it on the documentary, but you could probably do little 30-minute featurettes just on those things alone.
Yeah, well, that was the challenge, right? Where we had to keep coming back, because my film is serving two masters. There's the one you want to give all the original cast and crew their due and the original movie, but at the same time, to make it a film instead of a movie, like my story and Barry's story and all that, we had to lose a lot of deep nerd stuff from the original film that obviously the deep nerds would love to see. So definitely want to do them right, you know.
Speaking of touring the documentary itself, do you know if the cinema in Arizona where you first saw Megaforce is still there?
I do not know if it's still there. I know exactly what it looks like. In my mind's eye, I can see the Megaforce poster, which was outside, right? It was one of those strip mall theaters that had the posters on the outside of it. Yeah. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be cool. That's one of the places I didn't revisit in this adventure. I mean, there's just so many things, right? Like the big red helicopter that I blow up and they blow up in the original movie. That was the stunt double. The real flying helicopter, like it still exists. And that could have been a whole other 7 minutes of the movie, right? Yeah, it's got a rich history. You know, I don't know if anybody would indulge me to make a second documentary on the same subject. Yeah, and there's other movies. You know, if I was going to do another doc, there's definitely...
I was going to say, are there any other movies from the 80s which you could put as much love and passion into making a documentary about?
Well, it's not 80s. I'm a big Rocketeer fan.
Right.
And I really went deep on collecting Rocketeer stuff. And I know some of the crew. And I've got a lot of artifacts, right? Like I've got as much content for that. And that'd be a pretty sweet doco to make. Again, the thing with that is I would want to have a story that transcends just the intellectual property. And the big story, I don't know how familiar you are with the Rocketeer.
Yeah, my uncle's a big fan. He kind of showed it to me back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, the subplot of that movie is Billy Campbell, the Rocketeer, and Jennifer Connelly, played Jenny in the movie. They fell in love on the set. They were engaged and then they weren't after the movie, right? Like that story of kind of love lost with this backdrop of, again, the high art production loveliness of the actual filmmaking is something that I would love to tell that story. I don't think Jennifer Connelly is interested in talking about that. But if she were, right, you could see that's curious. There's probably some really thoughtful, heartfelt, heartbreaking things in there. And again, with rocket packs, right? So yay.
Awesome stuff. So to bring things kind of to a close, I want you to time travel to a Friday night in the late 80s or early 90s, maybe going to Scarecrow Video in Seattle. What movie soundtrack would you have on your Walkman? And what 3 tapes are you going to rent for the weekend? I mean, you can have Megaforce if you want, but if that single copy's out online...
That's not as fun, right? I definitely burned through a couple cassettes of the Blade Runner soundtrack, the Vangelis, right? That was like the best makeout music with your girlfriend back in the day. So yeah, I would definitely be rocking that.
I've heard you mention the Valley Girl soundtrack.
The Valley Girl soundtrack is definitely, that was my white whale, right? Because of licensing, I think they only released 1,200 copies of the original Valley Girl soundtrack in '84. So it was impossible to find. So I spent a decade going to record stores just based off the credits, the musical credits at the end, and buying each record, each 45, finding the song.
No way.
Yeah, it was my mission for like 4 years to complete the full Valley Girl soundtrack on a mixtape. So yeah, Valley Girl. And that's one of my daughter's favorites now too. Yeah, she created an official Valley Girl soundtrack on Spotify because like 90% of the tracks are now available. Like back then, it was like, if they didn't have them in your 3 record stores, there was no internet. So you're done.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
Did you ever find a copy of it?
No, never did.
So you had to stick with Blade Runner then.
That's right. Yeah, and as far as going to the video store, right, so it's what I would try to snag.
Yeah, 3 films.
3 films. I'm pretty sure it was 80s. Like I was thinking back because we did have sleepover parties all the time and we would rent 14 movies and all that. So one that was really hard to find that was kind of a deep cut was Sam Raimi's Crime Wave.
Ooh. Nice, yeah. I've never seen it. Someone brought a copy and tried a shop one day. But yeah, that is a deep one.
It's full Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell. Yeah, again, that movie's really great. I was looking for deep cuts, but the one we rented the most was Buckaroo Banzai back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. We love that. Love that movie. And then the other one that I would always force people to watch, like Megaforce, was Walt Disney's Condor Man.
Michael Crawford.
Yeah. I would love to do a doc on Condor Man for sure. Because again, that movie's very Megaforce, James Bond adjacent, right?
That was a weird one for me as a kid. I found it pretty slow and boring until the car came in. And...
Yeah, 100%. Well, that was, like Disney was still making movies like they did in the 60s. They hadn't moved over to the George Lucas Spielberg approach, right? Like even Black Hole, which I love. They're so boring. They're so boring, but the good parts are amazing still,
Yeah.
right? Like the good parts still, bar none, right?
It's the payoff. You did the full slog and you got the payoff.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it in my doc, but in the background, I've got a full-size Maximilian in some of those shots from Black Hole.
Really? Oh, I need to dive back.
Yeah, like he's in the background when I'm working on the Megaforce motorcycle in a couple shots. But yeah, stuff like Condor Man, even Megaforce and Black Hole, right? The good parts are still so good that you kind of... I mean, Tron was that way too, honestly, right? Again, not to take anything away from, because the stuff that they did right is just burned into the zeitgeist. Will never be seen again like that, right? Yeah, and that's kind of my favorite part about films, and especially old films, is just there's that one scene that you have to watch. If a movie gives you one scene that sticks with you forever, it's worth sitting through the other 80 minutes of it, I think.
Well, that's a good movie night. Crime Wave, Buckaroo Banzai, and Condor Man. They're the first time those have been picked on this show anyway, for sure.
Oh, yay.
Bob, thank you for chatting with me. That was a lot of fun. I'm stoked you reached out last year. We all love the documentary, sending its praises to as many people as we can.
Oh, much appreciated. Well, the next time I get over there to see my buddy Ash and Lisa's, I'll crash your place.
You're welcome anytime, man, for sure.
I'm just happy to be part of the plan, so thank you.
Nice one, man. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Rob. That was amazing.
Massive thanks to Bob Lindenmayer for chatting with me on today's show. Really lots of fun to learn all about his journey and, of course, making Megaforce. I really can't wait to see where this film takes him, and we'll continue to sing its praises over here. In the meantime, check out makingmegaforce.com to keep up to date on how you can watch it soon. So over at our 80s video shop in Alfreton, Derbyshire, on March the 15th, we'll be visited by Femi Taylor, who played Oola in Return of the Jedi. It's going to be amazing to have another Star Wars guest through our doors, and we have lots of other things in the pipeline too, so please make sure to follow us on all social media, simply at 80s Video Shop. We're also excited to announce that we're once again teaming up with our buddy Boo the Bad Guy from Nottingham to show a screening of the infamous BBC movie from 1984, Threads, all about a nuclear attack on Sheffield and the effect it has on the city. If you saw Threads growing up as a kid during the 80s, you'll remember the effect it had, and because we love you, it's your chance to relive those childhood nightmares all over again. Not only that, the screening is going to be in an actual cave beneath the Whistle and Flute pub in Nottingham on April the 16th. Tickets are on sale now, but please grab them whilst you can before this thing sells out. But right now, that's all for this episode. Thanks as always for listening to the podcast. And until next time, make sure to always be kind. Please rewind and unwind. And I'll speak to you all real soon.